He changed the locks. Not after a fight. Not after a divorce. Just like that. I came home from work, groceries in hand, and my key no longer fit the door I paid for. The door to the apartment I had leased under my name. The apartment he begged to move into when he was between jobs and out of options. I stood there, stunned, one hand gripping a bag of eggs and bread, the other frozen mid-air as the key refused to turn. My first thought wasn't anger. It wasn't betrayal. It was confusion. Was I at the wrong door? Was something jammed? Was this a nightmare? But no. I looked around. The welcome mat I had chosen. The small dent in the frame from when we moved in the couch. It was my apartment. He had locked me out. I knocked. Once. Twice. Called his name. Called his phone. Nothing. Then I texted. Me, babe. I think the lock's broken. I'm outside. Me, can you open up? It's me. Me, what's going on? And then. Him, you don't live here anymore. That was it. No explanation. No apology. Just a single message that shattered everything I thought I knew about the man I had loved for nearly 6 years. I didn't scream. I didn't break down. I walked down the stairs, groceries still in hand, heart pounding like a drum in a funeral procession. And that's when it started. Not the pain. Not the rage. The plan. Because if he thought locking me out of my own apartment was the end of this story, then he had no idea who he was dealing with. What happened next? Well, let's just say it's why karma revenge exists. We met in college. He was charming, broke, and full of dreams. I was ambitious, focused, and let's be honest, a little lonely. He used to joke that I was the kind of woman who'd run a company while he ran a music blog. I'd laugh, kiss him, and call him my artist. I paid for our dates. I helped him with rent. I supported his dream when no one else would. Everyone told me I was being used. But love makes you stupid. Or maybe, love just makes you hopeful. We moved in together after graduation. He couldn't get a job, said the market was tough. Said his heart wasn't in 9 to 5s. So I worked double shifts. Took freelance gigs. Even drained part of my savings so we wouldn't fall behind on bills. Every time I felt tired, he'd wrap his arms around me and say, "Someday, babe. It's all gonna pay off. You'll see." I believed him. Until the day I came home early from a work conference. He was in bed, our bed, with someone else. A woman I didn't recognize. Her clothes scattered across the living room. And he had the audacity to say, "You weren't supposed to be back until tomorrow." Not "I'm sorry." Not "this isn't what it looks like." Just bad timing. I didn't yell. I didn't throw things. I packed a bag, walked out, and stayed at a hotel. He called the next day crying, apologizing, blaming the alcohol, blaming the loneliness, blaming me. I was the one always working. I was the one who left him behind. I forgave him. God, I wish I hadn't. But I did. Because I loved him. Because I thought people make mistakes. Because I didn't know then what I know now. Some people don't make mistakes. Some people are the mistake. The night he locked me out, I checked into a hotel again. But this time, I didn't cry. This time, I made a plan. First, I called the landlord. Turns out, the lease was still under my name legally. He had no right to change the locks. So I filed a police report. Not because I thought they'd help, but because I wanted everything documented. Next, I froze the joint account he thought I didn't know about. Then I called in every favor, every friend, every connection I had ignored for years while supporting his freeloading dreams. Within 3 days, I had a lawyer. Within 5, an eviction notice for him. You should have seen his face when the sheriff showed up. He tried to cry. Tried to argue. Said I was being dramatic. "You can't do this to me," he said. I smiled. "You already did it to yourself." But that wasn't the end. Oh no, Yoni. That was just the beginning. Because petty revenge isn't satisfying. Not really. Not when someone's stolen years of your life. I wanted justice. And justice takes patience. I started documenting everything. Every lie. Every scam. Every person he borrowed money from and ghosted. Turns out, he hadn't just betrayed me, he'd left a trail of burned bridges miles long. I connected the dots. Talked to people. Collected statements. Then I started a blog anonymously at first. I told my story. Then I told others. The blog blew up. Turns out, I wasn't the only woman who had been used, discarded, and gaslit by someone she thought loved her. The blog became a podcast. The podcast became a brand. Karma Revenge. Now, every week, I share stories, mine and others, of women who got the last word. And every week, I remember that night on the floor of my hotel room. The night I was numb. The night he thought he had won. But he didn't win. Because here's the thing about karma. It doesn't need to shout. It just waits. And when it strikes, it doesn't miss. But even as Karma Revenge grew, there was one story I had never told. The final piece. Because 6 months after I evicted him, after the blog had gone viral, after the podcast started getting sponsors, I got a call. From her. The same woman I had caught in our bed. She sounded broken. Shaky. Like someone just waking up from a long, bad dream. I didn't know, she said. I thought you had left him. He told me you were just his crazy ex. I said nothing. Then she whispered, he did the same thing to me. He used me. Took my money. Moved in. And last night, he locked me out. I felt the familiar chill. But I also felt peace. Because karma doesn't always need your help. Sometimes, it handles itself. I told her, you're not alone. And you're not crazy. And that night, I recorded a new episode. The most honest one yet. The one where I told it all. From the beginning. No filters. No holding back. Just truth. Because truth, when spoken loud enough, becomes a weapon. And when it cuts, it heals too. So if you're watching this, and you've been betrayed, discarded, silenced, know this. You're not alone. You are not crazy. And you will rise. Because when they try to erase your story, you write it in fire. Welcome to Karma Revenge. And trust me, this is just the beginning. End.